When you're ready, Rob.
Okay. Hello. Welcome to 73 Degree Films. We are inside the Foundry, 15 York Street, an office building, and we've been in this room since around about September 2021, I think. So here we are. This is the room. We've been in a few different places in the Foundry, but we eventually moved into this space because I think it was around about the right size and it was available. We put down some new floor. My parents run a flooring company, so that helped.
So, what got you interested in media and film?
So I think I always very much liked film and media, just watching it, etc. But particularly, the thing I always say is that when I was around about 10 or 11, my grandparents had a camcorder, something my parents bought them, and I think this would have been maybe 2004, 5, yeah, around that time. So they were quite expensive. You know, nobody really had their own camera so much at that time. And I borrowed it and I played with it. And yeah, I met with my friends and we would make little videos and we would edit on this. It was, I think, a tiny computer was what it was called. This was also around about the time of YouTube starting, 2006 then. And so we got into a habit of just messing about with the camera, filming clips, and then putting them together, usually with Movie Maker, I think, at the time. And then just sharing them with each other. And it was fun because you could do that in the daytime. I'd put it together really quickly and then we'd share it. And by the evening, we could all be watching this thing we made in the day. And that was fascinating. Obviously, right now, this is like, it's gone. Like, it's just gone. Like, that being fascinating, it's now normal to do that. But at the time, it was very fascinating. And my friends and I loved it. And yeah, we just got better and better at it and started eventually scripting things and making things actually a little bit better. And this carried on quite a lot until I was around 16 or so. And then, yeah, for that period of time, that was what we did. Quite a few weekends in a row. Got that in here. It got painted, so that was nice, by Terry. And it's all looking nice now. We put some stuff on the wall eventually. So yeah, let's have a look at the walls. We've got Olivia Rodrigo poster. This was part of a video we did last year where I was trying to figure out what to put on the walls, and we went with that because I thought it was very interesting, that album, and I was kind of thinking of some way to inspire us. And I think it's inspiring. It's good. You know, pop music album made by 18-year-old Olivia Rodrigo. That can definitely inspire us.
So, what were some of your earliest inspirations?
I think particularly I started to take screenwriting more seriously when I was around 16. And this would have been inspired mostly by television shows like Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Fuckhead, shit-faced, cocksucker, asshole, son of a bitch!
Scum-sucking motherfucking whore! Cock!
And Arrested Development.
If you're saying I play favorites, you're wrong. I love all my children equally. I don't care for Joe.
So like I said, up to that point, we were messing about with cameras and making videos and stuff like this is fine. But I wasn't taking it very seriously until I got interested in screenwriting. And it was the way Larry David structured stories in Curb Your Enthusiasm so that the episode would end in an unexpected way where everything before it led to this like consequence that you couldn't have possibly predicted. And I think, you know, people usually point to season 3 of Curb as doing that, maybe the best. So that's just like exquisite writing. So I became interested in writing, and that's when I started to sort of take filmmaking more seriously and comedy writing more seriously. And started writing, I guess, short films, and then trying to write things like television episodes. And then eventually, I think when I was 17, I wrote the draft of a feature film as well. And then when I was 18, I won something to have like a short film produced for BBC Wales. And that was it then. Once that happened, then I felt like I had some confirmation that I could actually do it. That film never got made, BT dubs. But like getting told it was going to get made was enough to make me think like I was then good enough to actually be able to do this. Yeah, so that was it really. It was more about screenwriting that inspired me to take filmmaking seriously, because up to that point we were just messing about. But it was when I was like, wow, you can really do something cool with this by just thinking about the story a little bit more. That was what changed it for me. On the other side, we've got the skateboards. This was a gift from my dad. They're from something called Clown Skateboards, and they're prints of a design by Banksy. Supposedly, they're very limited. I don't know. They're on the wall. They're bright colors. I like bright colors. Lots of colors in here. So in this kind of section here, this is totally not finished, really, but it's where we've been putting gear. I roughly know where everything is. There's like a section for wires, a section for other stuff, papers and accounts. A director's chair. This is nice. I was given this for my 21st birthday, which was a while ago now. And yeah, loads of other random paraphernalia, but mostly gear in that corner.
So when did 73 Degrees Films start, and what were some of your earliest projects?
So the very, very start of what became 73 Degree Films was when I was selected for a talent program for young writers called the Writing Squad. I wanted to make a film, and I expressed this to them, and they decided to award me £1,000 to make this film. So that was very nice. I think I was 19, maybe 18. I needed a business bank account because they can only send it to a business, and I needed a name, and I came up with 73 Degree Films by writing words around my life. That was in House 73. I was doing my degree. These were 2 words. I just matched them up. Thank you. Can I open the account? Yes, you can. So that was the start of that. That's how that started. But then it kind of was just like my outlet for making things. At that point, it wasn't a serious business. That happened in 2017. So that was a period after I'd been working in Tesco, and then I was on something called New Enterprise Allowance. This was all after university, and I was figuring out what to do when I decided to have a go at, making money from this, basically at that point, hobby. Well, it was a hobby, but I was very seriously interested in it being my career, but I'd never thought about running a production company necessarily. I was thinking about directing or writing things. So yeah, 2017 was when the company formed, and it was later that year really that I started to do the first bits of work for a local television station, filming local news clips. It was very, very random, but that's kind of how it started. So me needing a business bank account, and then me needing some work. Then we've got the glass table here. So when we have meetings and things and people come in, we tend to do them here. Right now, it's just got the equipment on it from our podcast we've been recording next door, because we're not going to leave expensive stuff next door. It's going to be on the meeting table instead. So this is cool. And some other bits and pieces, like my drink and my research into Italian theatre. So then finally, we got other trinkets and things on this section here. So Binley Mega Chippy t-shirt, that's nice, from Binley Mega Chippy. They also had hats, but the hats were the same price as the t-shirt. They were both a tenner, so I went for the t-shirt. Very unwelcoming atmosphere in there. Felt very strange buying a t-shirt. I think they hated me. Poster from a film that's not come out yet, but we filmed nearly 2 years ago. Yep, that's good.
So what projects have you got in the pipeline, or 73 Degree Films got in the pipeline, that people should be looking out for?
Yes, I have pieces of paper. I said to everyone this morning, one of my key things this week is just creating Gantt charts and everything for these projects to make sure that the next 6 months go smoothly. But I'll run through some with you, and then years from now, if anyone looks back at this video, it will either be funny because maybe they happened and they were good or bad, or they didn't happen, and that's funny too. Writing the first draft of a feature film script, that is something I want to achieve later this year, and I've got my idea, and I'm got my books. I'm studying Italian theatre, so that's, there you go. If that ever happens, that's fun. We wrote in 2020, and we got some funding towards the development of a pilot television sitcom script set in Wrexham. We did a really good job of it, but we haven't managed to get it over the line in terms of pitching to broadcasters. So pitching television scripts, we've got to get to that next stage this year. I think we've got a shot at it. Expanding my own acting work, if possible, that would be useful, just in terms of having additional income and stuff for what we're doing. Like, I could probably do that, maybe. So we'll have a go at doing more acting. Short films and video art. Yeah, we've got some good short films. We need to maybe get them into festivals, things like that. So stuff, there's one called Surviving, which is like a triple split screen film. We've got one called Smash the Like Button, which will come out hopefully later this year. So yeah, we've got some nice short film projects we want to get out. Also, ideally writing more short films, getting funding for them, but God knows funding applications are difficult. Short form work, yeah, we've done really well the past year. I think we're about 19,000 TikTok followers and other stuff like that with our short videos. So just getting better at that and making batches of them that people are really interested in, that are not just me eating fish and chips, that would be ideal. So more like that. And then also making for other people, especially BBC, especially S4C, that would be ideal. YouTube, our own YouTube series, and steering our YouTube series into the direction I want it to go into. Everybody knows who's ever tried to start a YouTube channel just how incredibly difficult it is to go from zero to a committed audience. And this is really difficult. So trying to get better at that this year and build our audience and build the audience that we want, that would be ideal. Especially, just to give you a flavor of it, especially, an audience that are interested in sort of quirky approaches to questions using art. That's kind of it. Some other stuff. And then final one really is expanding like live production work. So working with companies on things like theater or immersive work like virtual reality stuff. And in particular, a music project, which is called 2080s, which is a music project I've had for a number of years. And I think this is the year, hopefully, where we actually start to reach people with that much more than before. I performed some shows last year. We set up some tour dates and stuff, but they were mostly with Signdance and other companies we work with. But this year we want to also concentrate on releasing music, improving production. And so, yes, music, live shows. So there's a lot of things there, as you can see. And I guess, honestly, my job to a large degree in the first few weeks of this year is deciding what to prioritize, because we can't do all of those really well, but we can do some of them really well. And I've got to make the bet on which one will actually be the most fruitful. Up here, there's some interesting stuff. So we've got some props from stuff we made for S4C there. We've got random things like this Happy Dad case from Florida, a bottle of fizzy red wine, Lambrusco from Italy when I was there in April, Wrexham Lager keg, various things like empty aviation gin bottles, old Wrexham Lager Pilsner there. Some Crystal Pepsi, because they released Crystal Pepsi when it was the day from Back to the Future where he went to the future and drinks Crystal Pepsi. So I got some, but I was too scared to open it. And now the bottle's warped, so I wished I just drank it, to be honest. Definitely worthless. Album by Benzi, that's good. Wow, some cryptocurrency wallets. And a skateboard that I got everyone on a project I was part of last year to decorate before I gripped it. So it's all covered in stuff and then went around the place and got wrecked.
Where do you see 73-degree films going in the next couple of years? What is your end goal with it?
I think ultimately it would be difficult to ignore the most obvious goals that filmmakers might have when they do things like start production companies, and that's to have quite large-scale commissions to be able to fulfill, creative ideas and ambitions along the lines of, in 2022, that would be certainly having a feature film made, producing, directing a feature film. Same with a television series, whether that's a sitcom or a limited series, a drama or something. Those are big, huge, expensive things that take years and years of preparation and experience to get towards, and to get people to trust you to do. From any aspect, whether it's acting, whether it's directing, whether it's producing. So those things have to be huge goals of ours as a company. And each year I do think we get slightly closer to it, but obviously there's some trade-offs in what we can do, and you can't spend forever chasing something that you're not ready for. So in some cases, it might be a case that we could write the best feature film script in the world, but getting the money to make it could be a decade away no matter what. I'm not naive. That's the story for a lot of companies and filmmakers. So those things are big things, like producing really big projects that are really viewed by millions of people on large platforms. That's great. But then I think aside from that, it's growing our audience on the platforms we can use and hopefully support those bigger goals. And that's things like TikTok, it's things like YouTube, it's things like touring with 2080s and just, meeting people and just gaining interest in what we do. So I think a side goal from that is better defining what the company can do and what the company is capable of. Because again, I'm very aware that if we throw a lot of darts at a dartboard, some of them hit. Sometimes the ones, maybe that you really want to hit won't, because you've thrown too many. So in many ways, one of the most important things to do over the next couple of years is really clearly define what we can offer. If we're really good at scripted comedy, the possibility of us gaining a commission for something like BBC Three to make a sitcom is just much, much higher. Whereas if we, concentrate on YouTube, maybe the chance of us having 1 million subscribers is higher, but the chance of us being respected by BBC is lower. It's like a trade-off, right? So, just better defining how to reach goals. But if I was going to say what the goals are right now, it would be, yes, make really large-scale productions that are interesting and reach a lot of people. And whether we do that with sitcoms, feature films, or just by doing fun art projects and properly documenting them for audiences on things like YouTube, that's interesting. But I think, ultimately what I'm saying here is make interesting stuff. That is what we need to do. But, the stuff itself, it's quite malleable and it changes depending on how I'm feeling. So right now, we seem to be doing a lot of comedy and factual, but let's see what that's like in a year or two as well. Over the side here, this is like what I would say is our third desk. So if Owen is in, might use this. We use it if we need to use Photoshop or things like that. So we've got the Adobe Suite. I'll use it if two people are editing at the same time. So, yep, we've got a 4K monitor, 32-inch. It's got like 99% color accuracy for Adobe and other things. So it's like the best monitor we could have. Only problem is that we move the monitors around a lot. They're very heavy. And I have to be honest, it doesn't really seem to make a difference that we've got 99% color accuracy, because people then end up watching them on the worst television with the worst settings ever. And you're just like, wait, it looks like that. So I don't know. But at least I know when we finish things, it looks 99% accurate. Yeah, this desk is generally like just holding things, like these flyers that have got to go out, some other bits and pieces. Yeah, it's not directly connected to the media server, but hopefully it will be at some point soon.
So you seem pretty enthusiastic about TikTok and all that it can provide. Do you think it's the future of content consumption?
I think right now it's not going anywhere. I would imagine the future of content consumption will definitely be related to the devices. And if it's AR glasses, the next thing will be, a version of TikTok that's not limited by the screen. And it'll be more about attention-grabbing things that can be linked to maybe, the things you would see in the glasses, real-life things that might activate it. I don't know what this will be. It's not up to me. It's whatever Apple are doing, probably. So is it the future of content consumption? I think, yeah, short-term. Long-term, I doubt it very much. But, content consumption and grabbing attention and this kind of thing it's got people and content creators into, which is like a race in terms of just grabbing people's attention and holding it for engagement purposes. I don't think that's going anywhere. So I think getting good at that's nice, as long as, you're not just doing it for that. It should still be about the art and the expression, ideally. But yeah, I like playing with platforms and learning and getting better at them. And we got really good at TikTok with certain videos, and we did really poorly with other ones. So it's just fun to try these things out. But short form video consumption is going nowhere. YouTube have added monetization this year. We're recording this 2023. So, a lot of people are predicting that, there'll be the YouTube renaissance, where YouTube again becomes the king of everything. Twitch doesn't look great right now for live streaming. Could be YouTube. TikTok doesn't look great. Imagine, it's very feasible that, Joe Biden or something could sign an executive order banning it like Trump was going to. This could happen. And then, the next day, YouTube could be on top for that again. So it's very nobody really knows what's going to happen. But yeah, in terms of watching short vertical videos and skipping through them quickly, yeah, I'm imagining the next 5 years is going to be at least semi-dominated by that. But there might be pushback, and people may well go back to longer form videos. Watching YouTube on TV is more popular than ever. Very long form consumption of things like television shows, like The Traitors is on right now, or has been on. And so I'm watching it on iPlayer. I have no qualms with watching an hour of that. It's super engaging. But I also find myself watching too many TikToks. I've got to dial that back. Yeah, so the future of content consumption, I think, will be very much linked to the devices or how we watch it. And the cinema's not doing very well right now. But will it be TikTok and super short, fast, addictive, vertical videos? I don't think it will be long term. I think it will be opened up into a world of possibility once we stop having to have everything framed by this, rectangular device. Here is the black whiteboard. I was very excited when we moved in here to have a whiteboard to write ideas on. And I really liked this one. I like the idea of having a colorful one. We looked at a few options like whiteboard paint, like making the whole wall a whiteboard, but it wasn't practical, and this just looked cool. Drilled it in, quite messy, had to use some filler with my dad, because we messed it up a bit. But it's in now, and it hasn't fallen down in over a year, so it's probably not going to fall down. Good.
When people put themselves online, I think this is quite common knowledge, is that you put a part of your personality out there that you think people want to see or you know is marketable and stuff like that. How different is the Rob that I'm talking to now versus the Rob that you would see in your own TikToks and stuff like that?
The Rob in this interview is the Rob from TikTok and other things. I'm dialed in. I'm being myself right now. I'm being an open and conversational version of myself. What happens sometimes is that it's not removed. I think it's just slightly exaggerated, like it would be for anyone if they were presenting something or giving a talk. It's that version of you that's, has something to say and is on camera saying it. So it's not me per se, but it's certainly a version of me that's somewhat presenting and exaggerated. I do think sometimes when I meet people in real life, far removed from cameras and things, if they have only ever seen me going, I went to every chippy in Wrexham, or, oh my God, what's going on? Or me and Owen having a fight or something on video. And then they met me and they saw how shy and potentially awkward and quiet I was, it would seem a little bit maybe odd. So I can see why there's a thing, the conflict between those two things, but really they're the same. It's just me, but I'm like my most presenting self. Whereas if I had no requirement to be presenting, I'm not going to talk like this to a person in the street. But yeah, I think it can be for people maybe that aren't used to doing that themselves and have only ever seen you on camera. Yeah, it could be a little bit jarring to meet you and notice that you're not always like that. But yeah, there's a difference, obviously, but it's not much of a gulf. I'm not really acting. Acting is a little bit more nuanced than this, I would hope. Owen is currently sitting on one of my favorite items, if not my favorite item in the world, which is this pink Overwatch chair, the Diva Special Edition from Secret Lab. I think this is like 2 years old now. This chair has been in lots of rooms in this building. And yeah, it's just really nice.
What does Wrexham mean to you?
Yeah, that's a good question. What does Wrexham mean to me? Okay, so I guess like basic stuff, Wrexham is my home. It's where I've grown up and I spent most of my life apart from the period I was in university in Liverpool. And so it's my hometown. It's where my family are. It's where everything for me has sort of flowed through. So it's part of my identity as a person, for sure. It's now a city. It's now the biggest city in North Wales. We've got Hollywood owners of our football club and everything. There's a lot going on now, maybe compared to even 2 years ago. So Wrexham to me is it's some days, I guess, when I'm feeling optimistic and everything feels possible. It could be like a playground for creativity. It's not like Cardiff, which is a huge number of creative businesses and things that you can do. In Wrexham, you could go film on the street right now. You don't need a permit. You can kind of treat it in kind of a fun way. It can be a playground to do cool stuff. But when I'm less optimistic, then it can feel on some bad days like the Stockholm syndrome, where you're kind of trapped somewhere just like trying your best and it's not really doing much. I'd rather stick with the optimistic version of things. I think Wrexham is a place with a lot of opportunity, a lot of very talented people. It's got, talent density. There's some really good talented people that are here that I'm very confident could work anywhere. Why doesn't that happen? And why are we tied to this place? And why are we so interested in making it better? Yeah, that's what I would be worried is Stockholm syndrome. But when I'm being positive, it's because we love it so much and because it's part of our identity and we want to see it do well. So yeah, Wrexham for me is part of my identity and it's a place that I would like to see prosper. And I'm committed to being part of that happening, hopefully, depending on your definition of prosper. But we'll see, because what Wrexham looks like now, I talk to people who were around, obviously, the 60s, you know, my grandparents and everyone else. Yeah, very different place, very different place. Yeah, it's hard for me to understand what it was like then, but it's a world away. I don't know what it will be like in 2060. Better or worse, it's hard to tell. We've got then this desk here, which is my desk generally. It's got this big Wrexham Hollywood sign, mouse mats, which is good. The Mac Studio is the computer we're using. And then Owen's editing at the moment, and it's hooked up to the media server, which Rob from MSC Technology helped us set up, which is, I think its capacity is around 48 terabytes. Although I'm always surprised year by year just how much more we shoot as you get more comfortable with things like 4K or whatever. So it is going to fill up at some point, but 48 terabytes is not bad for now. And it's Thunderbolt 3, so we can edit on it simultaneously pretty quick.
You do work quite a lot with people from Wrexham, like either just the citizens or artists and stuff. How important is it for you to incorporate those people into your projects and stuff? It's
very important for me to do that and to incorporate as many people as possible. I mean, we get requests for things like work experience. I try and facilitate that. We run courses. Like last year, we did this thing called Future Filmmakers, where we had new filmmakers shadowing professionals to try and gain new skills. I'm very interested in incorporating local people into what we do. And that's a fun thing about Wrexham, actually, is that because it's quite small and people tend to know each other, I always think that you're only really like 2 phone calls away from usually anything somewhat. That sounds a bit seedy, doesn't it? But like what I mean is, like, a random example would be a couple of months ago when we wanted to build a Wheel of Fortune. I told several people I know. One of them was immediately like, yeah, this person is who you need. Like, they knew the person I needed to build a Wheel of Fortune, which is great because I ended up working with Mark Aspin, and he's, you know, an artist based locally. And yeah, he's able to do, you know, all the woodwork. He was able to support, you know, the engineer to get that bit done and get it on the wall and get it spinning. And then he was able to paint it. He's a very competent artist. You know, this man can do everything. But he was the person. I didn't know that. Someone else told me that. So yeah, I love working with people in Wrexham and finding people. And that's true, I think. Whenever we've encountered something really random that we need to get done quickly, it really is a case of like 1 or 2 phone calls, and somebody usually knows somebody that can have a good go at it, no matter how random it is. And of course, we're involved in film production, and so sometimes we have extremely random requests for things. But yes, I love incorporating local people into what we do at all levels. And if there's an opportunity to do stuff, you know, like with the podcast at the moment where we're interviewing people supporting City of Culture for the next bid, that's a great example of something that would all flow and fit together quite neatly for us, because then we get to bring people back that we've worked with, have a conversation with them, and even just make videos about what they do, and that could be valuable for us or them to document that. And so yeah, it's like a nice, when it works well in Wrexham, involving everyone that you know and having sort of this open door policy where anyone can contact us. I like that too, you know, over email, just like reach out. So yeah, it's nice to involve people because there's a lot of very talented people here. Sam's desk here, this is Sam. It's got the 2080s mouse mat, which is one of our projects. And then, Mac Mini this time. I think this is actually the computer with the least RAM and least storage capacity, but is still, to be honest with you, you know, side by side, really fast when hooked up to the media server. That one, like I said, the third desk, it's got Photoshop and Adobe and stuff on it, so we've left the one with slightly more RAM, well, that side. But you'll see again, identical 3 monitors, and Sam's got a Noble Chairs black chair with blue, is it blue thread, I would say? Yeah, it's the black and blue one, isn't it? Yeah, so again, very nice chair. We need a third nice chair.
Last one, do you love the Green Lantern?
Right, so yeah, I watched Green Lantern 100 times. I was really pleasantly surprised, and you can see, because I captured my reaction the first time it finished when I was in the room, I thought it was all right, because I was so prepared, I think, that for it to be terrible, that I liked it. And I have to say, following on from that, spending time with Mike, the local collector who brought his collection, allowed me to borrow it and sort of display it and show it to people. I really talked to him and tried to understand, like, you know, what makes you get a tattoo of Green Lantern? What makes you collect all this memorabilia? What makes you love this character so much? And it's so much more than a bad film adaptation. You know, Green Lantern for a lot of people is harnessing energy and using it as oh man, I've already gone blank, you know. Like I've tried so hard to like get this storyline out of my head. I'm trying to recount this particular moment to you right now and realizing that I can't even remember exactly what it is. But he can create anything out of... My mind has gone blank. What is the word? He can create anything out of... Oh my God, I'm sorry. I have to check because this is vital for exactly what I'm trying to say. Green Lantern power. What's his power source? Come on, tell me. Oh, give me the word. Give me the word. Powering. Turn thoughts into green energy. But yeah, that's not correct. How is this thing not correct? Will ignore me getting this wrong and I will just try my best. So yeah, the character, I mean, obviously I'm talking specifically about the Hal Jordan iteration of Green Lantern, which Ryan Reynolds plays in the film. But you know, the journey is really like Hal learning to harness his willpower to create positive things and make positive things that, you know, we find him at a time in his life when he's lost, and he becomes even more lost as he loses his job, and he's trying to figure out things. And so the whole thing is there. I really think it's quite a nice story. Obviously, it's perfect for a comic book, hence being a comic book character. But yeah, for me personally, having spent that much time with the character Hal Jordan, yeah, I really, really like Hal Jordan. I'm wearing green right now. Maybe that was just because I'm thinking about Hal Jordan. Green on my socks and shoes as well, yeah. But yeah, it's Mike. It's Mike. Talking to Mike and hearing his passion, and like the reason he gets tattoos and how much he loves Green Lantern, it really instilled in me this sort of sense like, yeah, you're right. This is an amazing character. I'm annoyed now that everyone hates the film, because the film itself is okay, but the character, yeah, I would urge people to go look at the Green Lantern and the way they harness willpower and the positivity that the character is trying to bring into the world. It's nice. I like Green Lantern. I think the only other thing which I really like is on the floor, and it's this rug. I really wanted a nice rug for the room, and this one, I can't remember. I don't want to sound stupid. Is it Dorada? I can't remember the name of it, and I can't remember the name of the artist, but I liked it. Reminded me of Picasso, and it fits really well with the colors in here because it's yellow, red, and gray with black and white. That's the room. I mean, one of the really good things about the Foundry is that it's the winter right now, and it's been quite consistently warm in here. So this big radiator has been very, very useful, which is good. We've got, for the most part, you know, 2 edit bays. It's open, it's gray and colorful at the same time. I like it. And yeah, it's small enough for 3 of us to work in, but big enough for us all to move around and when we need to film and, you know, rearrange things. But it's not so big that like it doesn't heat up or anything like that. There's no problems. Looks a lot nicer than it did a couple of years ago. Now it's got the new flooring, new paint and everything in here. Yeah, but this room has been used for lots of things since I've been in the Foundry, in and out over the last decade actually. But yeah, this is the office. Oh, good. Oh my God. Okay, so much rambling. I'm sure some of it's fine. Good.
No, that was great.